I'm Shannon Mouton Gray, Managing Director here at McKinney Associates, and welcome to our June Tips in 20 webinar, 10 Tips for Giving Constructive Criticism. We here at McKinney Associates like to do these little webinars on a monthly basis to help folks be better and do better. And that's kind of our theme for today, actually. So we hope that you'll be able to use these practical tips and advice and put them into action. Once the webinar is over, you can't leave early, you gotta stay with me. But we try and do them in 20 minutes or less, hence the hashtag tips in 20, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. I wanna give a shout out to my producer, Stephanie, the intern. She's great. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, everyone.
So let me set some ground rules here. First, for today, I'm going to be using the words feedback, critique, and constructive criticism interchangeably, okay? Feedback, critique, and constructive criticism for this webinar are going to be interchangeable, okay? And second, as always, we want to start with clear language and terminology. So for the purposes of this webinar, constructive criticism is the process of offering valid, well-reasoned opinions about people's work in a friendly manner. Valid, well-reasoned about the work in a friendly manner. Okay, folks, remember that. Now, the purpose of constructive criticism is to improve our work. Again, we want to help people do and be better. Giving feedback allows us to address a specific problem and then work together to fix it. Constructive criticism offers numerous benefits, such as clarified expectations, personal growth and development, stronger collegial relationships, and organizational growth. A thoughtful critique can raise an individual's performance and improve an organization's productivity and effectiveness in a positive way for return on investment. It's ultimately a win-win for everyone. With that being said, let me say, criticism shouldn't be a personal dig or a way to vent, and you definitely shouldn't use it as an opportunity to thump your chest and exert some authority that you think you have and that you imagined in the middle of the night. And you definitely don't want to do it to boost your ego. To put it as plainly as I can, constructive criticism is not mean-spirited, it's not rude, destructive, inappropriate, personal, or cruel. Okay? Remember, the goal is to help people what? Be better and do better. Now, before I dive into the actual tips themselves, this month we're doing the constructive criticism for the givers, those who give constructive criticism, the supervisors, the managers, the bosses, the team leaders, even your peers and coworkers. Next month is when I'll be talking to the receivers. So this month is all about the giving. Next month is all about the receiving. Yeah, some of y'all need to get your head out of the gutters. I know where y'all went. So let's jump in. First, focus on the situation, the work, the product, and not the individual. Let's talk about Jane. Now, let me just say, I don't know if her name is Jane here giving this presentation, but Jane is who we're going to be using. If Jane's presentation was not up to company standards, don't tell her the slides were ugly. That's a personal attack. It's subjective, and it doesn't address her work. Talk about the presentation elements, and don't be overly dramatic or use sweeping generalizations. Discuss the presentation design and layout. These are changes Jane can make to improve future PowerPoints. Likewise, specificity is your friend. The more specific the feedback, the easier it is for Jane to make and take corrective actions. Yeah, folks, offer suggestions for improvement. Offer suggestions. Jane can't read your mind, and giving recommendations with examples provides her insight into what you're expecting and what you really want. For instance, no, your computer screens didn't just black out. This is the actual slide. Telling Jane, hun, the presentation is too dark. You need to brighten it up. Well, that doesn't give her any guidance. What is too dark? The background, the fonts, or the images? How bright should it be? Try saying this to Jane. Instead of using dark backgrounds with white fonts, Jane, next time look at using light backgrounds with dark fonts. They tend to be easier to read. Go to the archives and look up the presentation we did last quarter, and you'll see some ideas for design, fonts, and colors. Now you see, that was specific, it provided sound reasoning, and I gave examples. Now, regarding her conversation with Jane, let me just say here, don't be a douche, folks. Don't call folks out in front of colleagues. It's petty, it's rude, and it's just downright douchey. And while we're on the subject of privacy and the conversation, remember, what you say to Jane is no one else's business. Keep your mouth shut and keep working. Now, as for the actual discussion itself, don't let too much time go when the work was done and when you give the critique. You want to talk to Jane within 24 hours of her presentation. You want it to be fresh and at the top of Jane's mind, and this makes the feedback all the more effective. Also, while we all love to hear our own voices, the feedback session is a discussion. You want to talk with Jane. It's not a monologue, folks. Listen to her. Let Jane know that you care about her thoughts, her ideas, and her feelings. Listen to her side of the story. You also want to make eye contact to convey respect, understanding, and sincerity in what you're saying. Show Jane you appreciate her and her effort. Turn off the cell phone, shut the door, and give her your complete attention during the critique. Oh yeah, now repeat after me. Don't repeat yourself. Thank you, Stephanie. Ask Jane if she understands, if she has any questions, and then move on. Ooh, you know, I'm all about the planning. I am the planning queen. The goal of constructive criticism is to improve work products and outcomes. It's to help individuals do better and be better. So you don't want to end the conversation without measurable goals that will allow your colleagues and Jane to show improvement the next time. And finally, folks, keep it together. Don't get flustered. Keep the tone of your voice neutral and factual. There's no need to scream or get all up in your feelings. This is work, folks. This is not personal. So there are our 10 tips. It's now time for the Q&A portion of the program. So please place your tray tables in an upright position and hand your trash to the attendants as they make a final pass through the cabin. And don't forget to type your questions in the Q&A box. Ooh, and we have a commercial, as always, or recently always, that is. We are hosting our next Twitter chat on Wednesday, July 6th. That's in 1 week at 2 p.m., exactly 1 week. So follow at MCKPR or search for Social Justice Chat. We'll be discussing influencers, engagement, and social justice. Oh my! So come and join us. Our Twitter chats have actually gotten to be a lot of fun and very robust, with people asking all kinds of interesting questions. And speaking of questions, don't forget to type your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll go ahead and get started with those. Ooh, y'all caught me with my specs on. I believe we have some, oh yes, they're right in front of me, questions that we crowdsourced from Twitter, so thank you, Twitter. And let's see. Question 1, why is it important to learn how to give feedback? Learning how to give feedback, critique, constructive criticism is an important part of leadership. It is actually a skill that you need to develop. You need to practice, you need to work on it over time so you can be comfortable with it, so you can be better at it. One of the things about giving constructive criticism is that you don't want to equivocate. You want to go right there to the point, give your message, get in and out. Like I said, you don't need to repeat yourself. And in doing that, that takes time and practice for some folks. And so it's a good skill to have, and something that as you grow in your profession, you'll need to learn how to do. Next question.
We have a question.
Oh, we have a question. Excuse me. We have a live question, Stephanie just said. How can you give constructive criticism without hurting someone's feelings? Aw. That was for the person who asked the question specifically. The way to give constructive criticism without hurting someone's feelings, first, focus on the work product, not on the person. Second, be neutral in your tone. Do not be condescending, don't be rude, don't be cruel. And third, and finally, be specific. Again, if you focus on the work, you're not rude and cruel, and you're specific. Again, you know, some people are always going to take things personally, but it's a way for a person to grow and improve, because you want your team to grow and improve, because as they get better, you get better. As you get better, the company gets better. So I hope I answered your question, Ron. And so now back to Twitter. I've heard about something called the sandwich technique. Can you elaborate on it? I'm going to roll my eyes. Yes, I've heard of the sandwich technique. It's also called PIP technique as well. And what happens is there's a way of giving constructive criticism where the first piece of bread is praise. The meat and cheese is the criticism, and then you finish the sandwich with the last piece of bread, and that would be another praise. So praise, criticism, praise, hence the sandwich technique. I personally am not a fan of it. It can come off as a little condescending on the front end, and on the back end, the praise can water down the improvement that needs to be made. I'm all for getting in, giving it to them straight, and getting out. It's not about hard feelings, and going back to Ron's question, it's not about hurt feelings. It really is about helping people do better and be better. Okay? Next question. If I don't have a chance to give constructive criticism within 24 hours, is it still valuable to provide criticism a few days later? Yes, with an asterisk. It's always valuable to help people learn better, learn to do better, and learn to be better. The difference is the effectiveness of the feedback. It's the closer you are to the incident, to the performance, to the work in terms of time, the more effective the feedback is. If Jane gives her presentation on a Wednesday, like today, and or we'll use me. I'll go ahead. I'm a big girl. If my presentation today, if there was a problem with it and no one tells me until Monday or Tuesday of next week, one, I will have forgotten some of the specifics that I'm going through. And two, I've moved on to something else mentally in my work. And so I'm just not even focused on it anymore. If you get it to me, if you give me the feedback or the criticism within the next 24 hours, it's still fresh. I can still remember it. I still know, the questions that came through. I still know how Stephanie chimed in, how things went. Again, the sooner, the better.
2 minutes.
How much?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh, last question. Okay. How should you respond if someone doesn't take your feedback well? If you do the best you can to give specific, timely, thoughtful feedback, and the person doesn't receive it well, you've done all you can do. How someone receives information is not your response. You're not responsible for that. You can only govern your actions. If someone doesn't receive it well, if they get personal, you still stay on the high road and keep it professional. If they shut down, you see them shut down kind of mentally and emotionally, then in the conversation, thank you, have a good day. There's nothing you can do at that point. Again, you focus on how you give it. And remember, next month, we're going to talk about how people receive it. And I will be able to address that some more. I hope I answered everyone's questions. Okay, I don't see any more up there. So as we're at the point of saying goodbye, I do want to thank you again. I'm Shannon Mouton Gray with McKinney Associates. And I want to thank you for joining us for this month's Tips in 20 webinar, 10 Tips for Giving Effective Constructive Criticism. You can also find McKinney on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and SlideShare, as well as you can go to our website, www, I always have to count to make sure there are 3 W's, .mckpr.com, and you can sign up for our monthly, not daily or weekly, our monthly newsletter. Well, I think that's it for today. Everybody stay warm, stay cool, and stay hydrated. If there's nothing else, Stephanie, we're all good?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, and I'll see you around the interwebs.